I've never told anyone this story, mostly because growing up in a small town just outside the Matobo Hills, people are quick to call you crazy or superstitious. My family had a small rural homestead, a family plot with a couple of brick huts where we'd go during holidays. It was isolated, surrounded by high grass and granite copies, and late at night, the quiet out there was absolute. I think it was late December, maybe 2016. I was about 17. It was hot, the kind of heavy, suffocating heat right before a storm that never actually comes. My parents and my younger brother were sleeping in the main hut, and I was sleeping in the smaller structure nearby, which had an old wooden door with a simple metal latch on the inside. Around 2 in the morning, I woke up. I didn't check my phone, but the room was pitch black and dead silent. No crickets, no night birds, nothing. My chest felt tight, and my skin was covered in this weird, cold sweat. Then I heard it. Footsteps in the dirt outside. At first, I thought it was one of our goats that had gotten loose from the crawl. But the rhythm was wrong. It wasn't 4 legs. It was 2 heavy, deliberate steps. Crunch, crunch, crunch. It was coming from the side of the hut and moving slowly toward my door. I sat up, freezing under my blanket. My hands were shaking so bad I had to grip the edge of the mattress just to steady them. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. I held my breath, my ears ringing in the stillness. I kept telling myself it was my dad coming to check the latch, but there was no light from a flashlight, no voice calling out my name. Just silence. Then, the wooden handle on the outside of the door began to turn. It was a slow, grinding movement. RRR click. The metal latch on the inside rattled, holding the door shut. I couldn't move. My legs felt like lead. I stared at the dark wooden frame, waiting for someone to shoulder it open. But they didn't push. Instead, through the crack under the door, I saw a shadow block out the faint moonlight from outside. And then came a sound that made my stomach completely flip. Someone leaned their face right against the wood of the door and exhaled. A long, raspy, humid breath that hummed through the timber. Then, in a low, flat voice that didn't sound like anyone from our village, they whispered a single word into the crack. They said my full middle name. Not my first name, the name only my immediate family used inside our home. I couldn't scream. My throat was completely dry like sand. I just lay back, pulled the blanket over my face, and stared into the dark. I didn't hear them leave. They didn't run. They just stood outside that door for what felt like hours, perfectly still, breathing against the wood. When the sun finally came up and I heard my mother cooking outside, I opened the door. The dirt right in front of the threshold was smoothed out like someone had been standing there with bare feet, shifting their weight for a long time. Attached to the metal latch on the outside was a small, torn piece of red cloth. Nobody in our family owned anything red. We locked up the homestead that afternoon and went back to the city early, and I've never slept alone in a rural hut since.